Oh, yeah. Wow. Really great to see all of you. Thank you for braving the cold to be here this evening. Great to be with you. I'm Todd Anderson. I'm going to be your host. Welcome to WordHack. We are going to have a really fun, cool time this evening. If this is your first time with us, or even if it isn't, WordHack is a monthly show we do here at Wonderville. It's now been running 10 and a half years. Yeah, let's give it up for 10 and a half years of WordHack. Thanks to a lot of people in this room. And it's a monthly show where we hang out one block down from ye olde intersection on that grand old avenue of technology. That's right, it's the intersection of language and technology. So kind of the way computers influence the way we write and read. My background is in poetry, and I got into this kind of stuff thinking about how a computer could help me write poem good. And lots of other people come at that initial thought or that question of what are new things we can do with words, new ways we can explore language that we might not have been able to before, and exploring all those different ways. And that's happening across a lot of different disciplines. People do that in like academic master's programs for fiction and poetry. People encounter that like at large game studios. People encounter that doing linguistic research. And a lot of these people often aren't in the same room as each other, except for maybe this room. That's part of the goal of this room. It's where like all those people that are kind of approaching different ways of working with language and using computer to word good. All those people might have something in common, or something to say to each other, or something to be inspired by each other by. And that's kind of why we're here. And so WordHack is, we've got every show will have 2 to 3 talks that'll be about 15 to 20 minutes long, and then an open projector at the beginning where members of our beloved audience can come up and share something with the crowd for 5 minutes or so. So we have some amazing presenters this evening. We're going to be joined by Ensemble Park, who are Katie Alonca-Garrow and Kyle Booten, and then by Finnegan Shannon. Give it up for your featured presenters. And before we get into them, though, we are going to start off. I always like to have a slightly longer open projector on the new year, celebrate the new year. Happy 2025, everybody. And we are going to get right into it here on starting off the 2025 open projector. Let's welcome back Nick Montfort.
All right. Thank you, Todd. 2 months ago, I was here with a new book, and we had the launch of Output, an anthology of computer-generated text, 1953 to 2023, and 3 great contributors to that volume who presented. And in the open mic last month, I had another new book, Narcissism, which I read a little bit from, having first read from it a year before. And now I have another new book. It's called All the Way for the Win, and it's got some poems about computers in it. It's actually human authored pretty much by this human being right here standing before you. So I'll just read 4 of the poems. First I'll read Run Hot. The CPU was old, and the CRT too. Jim saw the two and set his jaw. Jim did not him, nor did Jim haw. The man hit run, and all was lit. Joy for Jim now, and bit for bit. Jim got the web and met you too. Yes, now, the WWW. So this book is meant to touch on as many aspects of human experience and existence as possible. It begins with the Big Bang, and it goes to the eradication of the last human poetic text on the earth. And it's comprised entirely of 3-letter words. As you notice, TLAs, or 3-letter acronyms, are allowed in this formulation. And as I say, mostly it's done with only moderate computer assistance. I think this is probably the most computer-generated poem in the book. It's very short. Man, you are the man for the job. Get the fam and fly out. The first line there, you are the man for the job, I simply found using a regular expression search on the Enron corpus. It's in there, just like that. All right, and so I'll just read two more. This one has some arcade video game references in it. Who was Bob? Who was Bob? Ass man, leg man, tit man, gay man. Was Bob our man? Was Bob his own man? Was Bob the hit man who did the job for the mob? Was Bob the lawman, the fed who ran the mob out? Had Bob any joy, any awe for God? Was Bob all for God, fra Bob? Was Bob but the layman? Was Bob the odd man out? Was Bob the yes man? Was Bob the top dog? Did Bob gun the car and ram his foe? Was Bob Mad Max? Did Bob cut the ass for art and pop one eye out, cut the eye? Was Bob Man Ray? Did Bob oft get the cow off the big man and aid the men who had nae sick? Was Bob Rob Roy? Did Bob eat the big dot and run off? Was Bob Pac-Man? Did Bob pop his foe and dig his way out? Was Bob Dig Dug? Was Bob the Tin Man, the guy who had the hat, the fur guy? And was Bob the Whiz, too? Wow, the big whiz who hid, who sat off the set. Did Bob use ink and pen and pad? Did Bob jot one bon mot and pin the odd ode? Was Bob Maclow? Did Bob pin out one art? Did Bob pin the owl? Did Bob pin Kim, Ada, the red box, the old man in the sea? Was Bob the top gun? Was Bob the ace who hit his foe? Was Bob badass? Did Bob fly his jet and yaw and let fly his AIM? Did Bob fly for the USN? Did Flyboy Bob own the sky? Did Bob fly the MiG? Was Bob red? Was Bob one sly red fox who did fly his jet and who had his fur cap? All for one and one for all, who did dig Mao and not God. Bob was nil, zip, not now one dot, not now one bit. Bob was not bee nor ant. Bob was not the big oak, not the sky, its cap, not the red hot sun. See Bob and see him let out his ahs, ohs, noes, and ohs, sad and ill. And yet Bob, low, dim, was all. Yes, Bob was Bob. Bob was not new and not old. Bob was not bad. Bob was one man and was all men too. All right, one more. And by the way, these books, which were wonderfully, I'm very pleased, published by Penteract Press, a great publisher of formalist poetry in England. One day, someone in the United States will publish my work. These, which cost 9 great British pounds and are very expensive to ship here. I have several copies of them. If you want to give me $10, I will give you one of them. And here's the last poem that I'm going to share with you. I have one poem here called One Art, which takes its title from a work by Elizabeth Bishop. This one takes its title from a work by Eminem. Rap God. The man can rap and can rap off the top, rap for the hip and for the hop. The rap god, you see, has his laptop now, has his Tai Chi and the Wei and the Tao. Get the pen and the pad, yet has the cry, can put out bar and bar, by and by. Bar for the ear, jam out for the eye, run out and rap all fly, not shy. Spy the rap guy now, you see him, you see how the man put out one gym. The gym was cut and the gym was big, the rap had zap, zap, zag, and zig. The mix fit the min and the max. The rap was any rap but lax. Not any rap bot, but all hap. Ill was the way the rap bot got Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. And for those of in the audience, you don't have to wait until you have published a new book like Nick does to be on the Open Projector. You can sign up even when you're working towards said book. Don't be shy. I also shout outs to our Twitch.tv audience where Fuzzy Physics has said, "LOL, cream of Jim." Love to hear it. Coming up next on our Open Projector, really excited to have back Nolan. Give it up for Nolan.
Hello, I'm Nolan. So, yesterday I made this thing that I'm not going to show you that generates crosswords out of the passwords in my password manager vault. It's called One Crossword, and it's real, but I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want to put my passwords on stream. But we can play after if you want. So I'm going to show you something else that I made recently. And to show this to you, I have to give you a little bit of context about some things. I'm going to define some terms. So one term is Vim, which is a text editor that I like to use to write words. It's weird and confusing and has a high learning curve, but it's very powerful, and I'm very fast with it, and I like using it a lot. Another is called a regular expression, which is a way of describing text that you want to search for. Kind of like Control F, but much more powerful and more confusing, much like Vim. And a third term that's important for this is called Bad Apple. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Bad Apple. It's this like visually compelling music video that people like to kind of embed in weird places. Kind of like running Doom on a toaster, but for images. So our goal is going to be to run Bad Apple inside Vim, my text editor, using regular expressions, which is not what. Oh, sorry, I forgot that I need to like shrink these things so that you can see them. Let me do that right now. There's this talk called "Finding the Bad Apple in Your Regular Expressions" that someone gave, and I thought it was going to be about what I did, but it's not. It's about debugging regular expressions. Okay, so what am I talking about? Okay, so here's Vim. This is what it looks like. Oh, wow, you really can't see that at all. Well, okay, we don't need to see this window for very long. Here, we'll go over here. We'll just skip a step. So here's Vim. Here is what it looks like. And what do I mean by drawing? I have like made this little stick figure in here, and if I search for it, you can kind of see him right there, right? And you can change Vim in all these different ways. You can tell it to highlight stuff in different ways, which is really handy for our purposes. So if we kind of change that highlighting a little bit, you can see that I can like draw a little stick figure here. And I've done something, which is that I'm using a font called Square, which makes these pixels much more square than normal. Normally fonts are like taller than they are wide, so if you try to like draw an image, it doesn't work super well. So I set up my Vim kind of like this so that I can like draw images with it, right? And then I took all the frames of Bad Apple, these are just like on the internet, and I converted them into like a little, I don't know, array of ones and zeros representing black and white pixels. It's a black and white video, so it's pretty easy to do that. And then I tried to figure out how to kind of draw that within my text editor. And I thought I was going to have to do something really, really wacky here around like making this big file with all these B's and A's and C's and things like that and highlighting them in these different ways. But I learned that my editor, Vim, you can kind of like search for like rows and columns. It's a little hard to describe, but you can see here that there's this like 5 and 15 and 4 and 9. And I don't know why my text editor can do this, but I can say, you know, let's search for a square, right? Like a thing. This is centered enough, right? You guys can kind of see this? Yeah? Okay. you can search for a square between columns 5 and 15 and lines 4 and 9. And because these are these regular expressions, you can combine those things, and you can search for many different squares. So I can search for 2 squares at once. We can draw 2 squares on the screen at the same time, which is really handy. And so that kind of changes this problem into, given like a big image from Bad Apple, which we were just discussing, how do you decompose that into a bunch of rectangles that you can draw to the screen? And I searched, like, I don't know if it's still in here, for like how to do that on Stack Overflow, and the accepted answer is it's hard, which is not very helpful. So I did, oh, okay, the projector didn't like that. Well, I did a thing, hopefully the projector comes back, because I need to show you images at the end. Well, I can tell you what I did, and then I won't describe the images, but I did a fun programming trick that I really like, which is that instead of trying to write a good algorithm, I wrote a bunch of different bad algorithms. And I just ran them all, and then I combined them. I take, I run shitty algorithm number 1, and shitty algorithm number 2, and shitty algorithm number 3, and one of them typically does a good job, and so I kind of take the one that does the best job, the one that decomposes this picture into rectangles. Let's unplug and replug this. And I take, whatever, the best decomposition. Come on, please, projector. And turn that into these very long search strings that I would love to show you on my computer. I think I have a raw HDMI port somewhere. Maybe I can just plug into that. Yeah, let's do that. I can read my passwords in the meantime if you want. Let me go over here. Displays.
Yeah, you're on. Okay, it's on the way.
Just in case you think no one's seeing your screen.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny. Do you guys just want to look on that?
10-second delay.
Oh, that's the future?
But it's also the past.
Todd, what should I do? Should I just give up?
You could turn your computer screen around.
Yeah.
Only we can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, you can open a QuickTime player.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I'm not sure how well this is going to work over stream. I guess we can find out together. Okay, well, okay, let's just run this and, put me out of my misery. So the point is, we have this big old file. It's like 50 megabytes. It has all of these insane lines. You can't see it yet because the screen is pretty far behind. But it looks something like that. And we go over to our text editor, which is going to show up on your screen in a second. And we tell it to search for these lines one at a time as fast as it can. And in doing that... Oh my god! Okay. So, right. Let's shrink this a little bit so that you can see. Okay, that's good enough. I've been on here for long enough. All right, so we're going to tell it to search for these lines as fast as possible. This is Vim, my little text editor where I write code. And we get a whole moving video playing this thing. And that is Bad Apple within my text editor, only searching for text. Thank you. Sorry that took so long.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you for your patience there, Nolan. Sorry about that. Up next on the open projector, we have Matt. Give it up for Matt.
Thank you. Well, I didn't bring much to read to you, but it concerns your words and what you have to share. So I'm Matt Griffin. So I'm the conference chair for Narrowscope. Have any of you heard of the conference Narrowscope? A couple of hands? Okay. Well, it's a narrative games conference. The first one was at MIT in 2018, and it's been an annual conference. And it's focused on interactive fiction, all narrative games, a whole range of things under kind of a big umbrella. But we've been sort of talking internally the question of what to do about all the submissions that people were kind of sending us questions about that were involving like LLMs and ChatGPT, et cetera. And so we came up with an approach to that might be interesting to folks here. Is we started thinking, looking at our community, which really embraces a lot of interactions with computers and between computers and people to make things. So we didn't want to set a policy to prevent people from sending in things they wanted to see if they'd be interesting to share, but we put this sort of guidance. Our community welcomes creative experimentation in human-computer co-writing, especially the contributions of computational poetry literature over the past nearly 80 years. For the 2025 edition of Narrowscope, which, by the way, is pretty nearby, it's going to be in Philadelphia at Drexel, we are sitting out the content that leans really heavily on the use of tech giant developer LLMs to automate the authoring of interactive narrative and code. There are plenty of conferences out there for those topics, so we'd rather give space to other types of human-computer co-writing talks this year. If you feel strongly that your proposal is a strong match with Narrowscope 2025 and interrogates the legal, cultural, economic, environmental impacts of generative AI in this space, sure, you're welcome to submit. But even so, if you're just talking about generative AI as a central component of your talk, we'd suggest you consider other events that are focused on it. So I wanted to mention that in this space because the deadline is coming up February 7th for talks, and a little bit later for papers. We've added an academic papers track. And we would really love to see, invite some of you to consider bringing some of the amazing experiments and projects and work that you're creating that has, it has some overlap with narrative, even if the narrative is in the presenting of something and enjoying it together. So wanted to share that in this space. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Matt, for sharing that with us. Just to remind myself and the audience, what is the submission deadline again?
February 7th.
February 7th for talks, and it says narrowscope.org on here, and the conference itself will be in Philadelphia at Drexel. When is it?
It is June 20th to 22nd.
June 20th to 22nd. All right.
Thanks for adding the things that I should have.
No problem. Just it helps to hear it more than once, even if you did. All right, and to close out our open projector, let's give it up for Zack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that thing.
That works great.
Yeah.
And do you need sound?
No. focus, but since 2020, I got really into sewing my own clothes. I loved it as a hobby that didn't involve screens and didn't involve tech. It was a good relief from perfect. Yeah, so I got into sewing my own clothes. It was great as like an offline, off-screen hobby, but unfortunately, because I'm so computer-brained, I end up bringing digital aspects into my sewing. One way that happens is instead of using the normal approach of putting your patterns on paper, laying that on top of your fabric to then find the shapes to cut, I instead have a projector that is mounted to my ceiling. Pointing down maps a digital inch to a real physical inch, and I use that for the marking and cutting out my fabric. But that's just one example. That was the first like foray of like crossing the digital physical sewing boundaries. But for this talk, I'm instead talking about earlier on in the process, which is trying to figure out what I want to make. So like once I had made basics of each different type of garment, I kind of got stuck trying to figure out what I would then want to make. And so to try to get inspiration, naturally I just tried to find runway photos from fashion designers. But I quickly get stopped. Oh, right. Haha. Well, not by... yes, I do.
Me play games, all lowercase.
Me play games. Try. You got this. You got this. If not, I can hotspot. I don't know why that didn't work. All right, we'll see if this goes. Otherwise, I can just describe. It's not crazy essential. Okay, cool. So tried to find photos of runways to try to find inspiration for clothes I would want to make. But as is the modern web experience, that's increasingly harder and harder. Everything has paywalls everywhere. Everything just is annoying to use as it like tries to like just get your email like 27 times. It is a really clunky interface to try to just like step through photo by photo to then find like inspiration. So I was really getting frustrated by that, and so I started to try to take things in my own hands. I at first just tried to make like ad blocker, like just extend the ad blocker or write user scripts to try to make the Vogue site actually functional, but that was still still only so much you can do there. So I instead started looking at trying to figure out if I could just get the images myself separate from the website. And so I found that there is a very large, they put all of their data just like directly onto the window object. And so if you go through, I forget what exactly it is. Oh, runway galleries. So I found here that you can just get all the URLs for every image of every runway photo right there. So I wrote a script to just like load a collection that I'm interested in and grab it from the window object, download all of that. And so I initially just did it with a few collections I was interested in, but then I wanted to just, after doing that a few times, that got to be just too much of a hassle for me. So I instead wrote a script that then automates doing that for a list of designers. So it would just take my list of designers, it would, in Playwright, open up the Vogue collection pages, find the list of every season it's done, open those up, get that window object of all the gallery photos that they have, and download those to my computer. So I set that to run, did that with a small sample of designers, and let it run for like a week. And I got like 150,000 images as a good start. And so let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so kind of end result is that I just have a directory of just like way too many images. Yeah, And so that was fun. This was definitely better of an experience than going to Vogue's website, but still had room for improvement, because mainly once you have 150,000 images, that's just like, it's just overwhelming to even like look at a small sample. So I wanted like something that had a bird's eye view of it. So I found out about this app called Eagle. It's a like one-time purchase of like $20, I think it was. It's just a general purpose like photo image organizer. So I put my 150,000 runway photos into that, and that gives a nice like overview. There we go. Yeah, that just is a better, nicer way to then like see kind of everything that's going on. You can make smart filters, so I just saved all of the file names with the season and designer, so you can make filters saying, hey, grab everything with that's tagged as like menswear or fall or something, and just kind of select amongst those. One fun thing with this app in particular is that there is color similarity searching, so you can say, I want to find other designers that do something in this color. If you want to go for this blue, yeah, and so on. And you can like then further filter it amongst like what other filters you have. Menswear colors are so boring. Yeah, so that was my first like forays into that, but like I still felt like I wasn't even like seeing or surfacing like that much across all of the different collections of all the different designers across the 150,000 images I had. So finally some words get involved. So what I wanted to do was I found this thing called OpenAI found this thing called Clip from OpenAI. It kind of just will take an image, compress it to a vector of like kind of what's going on, describing what the deal is, takes your search input, your words, puts that to a vector, does a similarity search. And so you can use that to build a text search that kind of surfaces relevant images. And so maybe some examples are all over print. So this surfaces designs, yeah, just covered in a print. We can do some more fun things like material choices or like looks of that. So that's searching for aluminum. Let's say fur. Find everything that has fur. You can be more fun about it. Be like goth. Yeah. Everyone's in the Black Parade there. Preppy. Bit of contrast. Or you could, like, if you have a specific style of a garment that you're looking for, you can try searching for that. This is searching for moto jacket, which isn't the best comparison, but like still a bit more like outerwear focused. And yeah, so that's what I've built there. This is kind of like just like the initial like foray into like, yeah, trying to figure out what to do, what to look at amongst like all these images. Still feels like there's more to explore here. If you have ideas, I'm very open to hearing them. Although I will caveat, I do not care to hear any suggestions that involve generative AI, because like this already on this small sample like is 150,000 looks. We don't need 150,001 that doesn't exist and isn't within a context of a designer, within an artist, within a history. There's not something brand new to make here. It definitely exists. So the problem is searching for that and searching for the right like work made by a real artist. So if you have suggestions along that, just talk to me after this. Thanks.
Just a little item. Thanks so much, Zack. Yeah, I'm gonna do a small thing as well. Yay! a rare Todd presentation. I did a set yesterday at a friend's show and felt really great to perform and made me want to perform a little more often. So I made a new piece that was based on a poem I wrote during the pandemic about being too depressed to keep in touch with your friends, even though not being in touch with your friends is what makes you depressed. Let's see. I also have a new text editor that I'm trying out, so we'll see if it works. I'm going to need to do a little bit of calibrating onto this cave environment here. I think this mostly works. Yeah, that'll be good enough. And might not need sound for this one. This is Acclaim's NBA Jam. You're not getting anything, Rody? That's me. Oh yeah. That's some poem that might happen later. Hello. Okay, there we go. We're in business. Gotta get that amazing theme. This piece is called NBA Jam Quarantine Edition. NBA Jam Quarantine Edition. Karl Malone is slam dunking the vaccine into the artery of my mind. The empty countertops of my kitchen are a waterbed of relaxed expectation. Because you know, on fire! I'm gonna be calling you on the payphone I had installed in my backyard for a time like this. Gonna tell you, hello! Gonna tell you, it's good! To catch up. It's good! To hear your voice. And I'm Monster Jam! In the quarter. Yeah! I'm heating up! Yeah! I'm asking about your dad. I'm on fire! You're forgiving me for taking so long. For making you carry the weight. And that's very boom shakalaka of you. But the fire's out now because it's raining in my little backyard. Except now the rain cloud just moved over the apartment building next door. And maybe it still is raining way up there on the roof they have. But right now, all I can see is the gray. fire. Wait, is that?
To hear your voice.
Monster Jam! Monster Jam!
I'm at
On fire!
Hell yeah. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Great. Yeah, I've been having fun writing little scripts that kind of like puppeteer an emulator and make poems appear inside of it. It's been pretty fun. Okay, so tonight we just have 2 featured presentations and a longer open projector. So we are going to have our famous WordHack mid-show break right now. So we're going to take a 11-minute break, and you can go to the bathroom, go get a drink, go tip your bartenders furiously in the way that you remove the money from your wallet, not in the way that's your demeanor towards the bartender. I'm meaning the speed and rapidity at which you unavail yourselves of the $1 bills in your pocket. Big shouts out to Ryan at the bar and Rhodey up in the booth. We'll see you in 11 minutes for Ensemble Park and Finnegan Shannon.
I've always wondered, is Rhodey actually his name or his function?
Thank you. right, 2-minute warning, everyone. 2-minute warning. We will start back up in 2 minutes, probably closer to 1:48 at this point. But in a little bit, it'll probably even get down to 1:35. 21. Attention ball players. We'll be starting the second half momentarily. Alrighty. Welcome back. Love to see people chatting, catching up at a WordHack. There'll be some more time after the show to continue these conversations, but for now, we're going to get started with our featured presentations for this evening. Up first, we're going to be joined by Kyle Booten and Katie Alanka Garrow. So both Kyle and Katie are researchers and writers, people who study collaborations between humans and computers in different ways of producing creative texts. So they've both worked a lot with contemporary AI systems, but also a lot of the history of different generative techniques and different ways people have worked with computers to produce writing over the years. And they have a really exciting publication called Ensemble Park, which focuses on that area of study, which we're going to hear some more about this evening. So please give a warm welcome to Katie and Kyle. Clear this stuff out.
Should prop one of these up. Can I put this like this?
Yeah. Hello. We have our little paper napkin planning, because we had dinner before this, to figure out what we were going to show you all. And the projector takes like a second to be with us. My computer is like, it's getting big, and then it's getting small, and then it's getting big again. While we wait. How long do you think we should wait?
I don't know. Maybe Todd has an idea. Should we wait or should we start without images?
Yeah, is it not?
I think it thinks something's happening. Let's see what my computer. Ooh, it's gotten big. It's gotten small. It's kind of like. It's like I'm here. I'm not here. I'm connected.
Do you want to try a different?
Maybe a different dongle. What's this?
Nice sack of them.
More dongles. Let's try this dongle. It's getting big. It's getting small.
And Rudy says if you have your adapter, sometimes it works better with the computer's plugged in.
Oh, if my computer is plugged in, sure. I can go get that.
Oh, he says it's on now, and it's on its way.
It's on its way.
The projector's on its way.
All right, there. It's there.
That's the future, and also the past.
It's such a mindfuck. So many layers of lag. looks good.
It's just gotta give good vibes.
Yeah, for the stream. Let me see if I can track down another picture.
I guess I should be sitting. I always feel awkward sitting when I present because I feel like.
Okay.
But we
You're gonna-
have to because of the thing.
Yeah, but not if we don't have images.
We can
should
actually do the whole thing without images.
Maybe we should just do the whole thing without images. It's also not super crucial that we have images. If you prefer us to just keep going. We're happy either way.
Why don't you start talking, and then if you reach a point where you need
We go.
we can.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I will
You can
stand.
just read the.
Yeah. From the yep.
Yeah.
It did work earlier, so. Okay, I think we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this live without images. But as you see, we actually have physical copies that are available for distribution at the end of the show. So despite there not being images, there are props, which are kind of like images in real life.
Ensemble Park is a journal of human and computer writing. Think less generation and more mediation. Think loops of writers and readers. Think back and forth and back again. Think human-computer interaction and human-computer collaboration. A park is a place where you see different things and different people. Ensemble Park is a park. In it, you should see different people, different programs. Large language models can be sublime. A small language model can be beautiful. An analog computer, a theorem prover, a virtual friend, a part of speech tagger, a spell checker. All are welcome in the park.
I'm going to read an excerpt from Kathy Wu's piece in our first issue. This piece is called She's Lived a Tongue, You're a Concealer. Original. To what extent is language made out of meat and tubes and air? The machine can see and hear. It sees what it sees. It hears what it hears. This could be called a translational act. In my 2 weeks of linguistics class, I clicked on every phoneme in the IPA, bilabial plosives, dental frictives, air undulating in the shape of ah, diagrams of vocal tracks, as in Teresa Hutkinshaw's dictée. Dictation unobstructed. I am speaking to a machine. To what extent is language made out of meat and tubes and air? The machine can see and hear sees. What it sees hears. What it hears, this could be called a translational act. In my 2 weeks of my linguistics class, I clicked on every phone in the IPA, bilabial plosives, dental frictives, air undulating in the shape of a diagram of vocal tracks, as in Teresa Hutkinshaw's. Dictation obstructing the nasal passage. I'm speaking to a machine while obstructing my nasal passages. To what extent is language made out of meat and tube and air? The machine can see and hear. It sees what it sees. It hears what it hears. This could be called a translational act. And like 2 weeks of linguistics class, I clicked on every phone in the IPA by labial pulsive, frictives, air undulating in the shape of a diagrams of vocal tracks, as in Teresa Hutkinshaw's. Dictation, obstructing lips. Speaking proven machine while obstructing my upper lip with a metal spoon. What extent is language made of mousse and food and air. The machine can see and hear. It says what it sees. If you're 20 years, excuse me. Call the friends Rogerville's closest liquor store diagrams of vocal traps, as in producer Hot Wheel Challenger dictator. So there's more. Each of our pieces is accompanied by a process note where people talk about the process that they created for creating their piece. So I'm going to read just a tiny bit out of Kathy's process note, which is, all the process notes are a bit different because everyone kind of had a different idea. So hers is kind of like a bit of an essay, kind of like a one-page essay describing what she went through. So I'll just read a few sentences from the end. So this is from Kathy speaking about her piece. Whenever I get voicemails from my dad, the iPhone transcription engine will break down in the face of his Chinglish, confidently intermingling nonsense English words together with profane words that perhaps sound like Chinese. I think there's a lot which can be pushed by others beyond these initial gestures when it comes to translation, language justice, and surveillance. And although not the focus of this particular work, I can't help but think also of discourse on speech pathologies and disability. To you, dear readers, I hope you will all take to the machine with your teeth and lips and tongues, either legible or opaque.
Another piece from issue 1, this by Ian Hatcher. This is an example of prompting as writing. But it's more than that. It's the invention of a new sort of poetic form, a prompt form, you might say. First, Hatcher asks for, quote, a set of nonverbal stage directions that suggest climbing out of technical abstraction and into reality. I'll pause. I'll repeat this prompt. A set of nonverbal stage directions that suggest climbing out of technical abstraction and into reality. What would you do with that prompt if I were to prompt you with it, like Hatcher prompted the LLM? How would you write such an instruction? That's the first prompt. Then Hatcher feeds it back into the machine. For each of these outputs, Hatcher now requests, quote, subtly bad faith scientific interpretations. And so we have an ensemble of human, machine, and machine again. A machine twice, tuned slightly differently. The model allowed to be at odds with itself, to misunderstand itself, maybe. This is one way, perhaps, to make these models do something interesting. The resulting poem is called Virtual Acts and Rationalizations. I'll read a little bit of it now. Glides, leaving a trail in the air, claim to depict the trajectory of particles in a Bose-Einstein condensate, also described as representing the circulation of a superfluid, surrounded by a halo of fluctuating light, allegedly symbolizing the aura of quark-gluon plasma, said to be an interpretation of the Higgs field in motion. Eyes flash too fast to decipher, presented as a novel approach to harmonic analysis computation, claimed to replicate the visual processing of an AI neural network. Laughs in a modulated pattern, described as mimicking the resonant frequencies of superstring vibrations, allegedly representing the sound of collapsing wave functions.
Okay, so this is the third piece that we're going to share with you. This is by Hannes Bajor. And I'll say a little bit about, this is like very hard to manipulate a book and hold a microphone. This is perhaps why they invented stands. Okay, welcome to the future, where we have really thought about this. So what's in the our book, Ensemble, is an excerpt from his novel called Berlin, Miami, which was published in Berlin in the fall of 2023. And it's He's writing with a language model, an open source version of a language model, GPT-J, which he fine-tuned with 4 contemporary German language novels, all of which deal with digital life. So the original is actually in German, and he prepared a English translation for us, but you can go read it in German if you read German, which I do not, so that would be hard for me. And there's a part of his process note where he says, when the Jawling, which is Kieferling in German, and Pondhead, which is Teichenkopf in German. I apologize to the German language. Make their appearances early on. I was intrigued beyond just wanting to test the AI's narrative ability. I needed to know more. And so I gently steered the model to tell me about these strange creatures. Somewhere else in the text, it was mentioned that the Jawling had been pregnant. I typed in Jawling pregnancies and hit generate, observing as a result the bizarre process that is the reproductive cycle of a creature that reminded me of Kafka's similarly nondescript Odrodek. So I'm going to read a small section in which the Jawling gives birth. But when the Jawling finally gave birth, my father wanted no part of it. Throughout the next day, my parents stayed far away, as if they resided in a mountain of heavenly eggshells, with only me present to watch as the Jawling struck miserably in the water bucket and tore its own body off. As the Jawling labored, it repeatedly wheezed violently and then began to smolder. Steam arose from the corners of its mouth, making it not ashamed but rather begrudging. It smelled like the rare smoke of a cigarette pipe, while damp hair dangled from its body. I watched it without any shyness, feeling such a great kindness for it that I wasn't disgusted when it began to wheeze violently and then smolder. So I'm going to leave it there. The Jawling goes on to have some complications with its birth. But ultimately, you do get Jawlings, which are smeared with the broken bone protruding from the Jawling's teeth.
So Ensemble Park is a literary magazine. It is also a journal of human-computer interaction. That means we're interested in texts, yes, and beautiful texts and strange texts that could not be written outside of an ensemble. But we are just as interested, as Katie said, in process, or better yet, in models. Not large language models or small ones, in models of behavior design patterns that our readers may emulate and innovate upon. So that's why each piece is followed by a process statement in which the author describes exactly what they did and why they did it, so the reader may also do so, or not do so, or do so differently. We're all in this together, trying to figure out how to keep writing, keep thinking. So other works in issue 1 include an analog computer that plucks rubber bands into mantras by Christian Faubel, an interactive essolang by Kavi Devori, iPhone journaling to misremember by Alyssa Moore, an encounter with an oracle by Monica Storrs, a conversation about a scholarly book that probably doesn't exist by John Cayley, an LLM jam sesh by Mark America, a rewriting of La Jetée by Joanna Zelinska, poems sorted out of vector space by Malta Stabning Urslev. So Ensemble Park is published online, but also in a limited run in print. The print version has some special things, some secret things. This issue, extensive interviews with each of the authors. In future issues, it might be something different. Who knows? Maybe some outtakes, revisions, documentation. We do, as you see, have a handful of printed copies with us. Please let us know if you'd like one. They are free in a sense, except sometimes we request a trade. Today, if you want a copy, you have to trade us the name of one person, one writer, who you think would be interesting in an ensemble. A friend of yours, perhaps.
So we are, in addition to trying to spread far and wide these pieces of paper that we've collected for you, we're thinking about issue 2, and so the deadline for issue 2 is April 2nd. And we actually have like a series of things that we're looking for that we would like really love people to submit. So if you're like, oh, I would, what would that do or mean?
Like if you want to show, if you have something you want to show to the audience,
Oh,
you can put it on here and face it.
Yeah,
to the screen.
that sounds great. We're sorry, Projector, for whatever we did to upset you. I'm 100. It's always the user's fault. We're gonna plug directly into that. Sounds great.
Unfortunately, it was a tiny HDMI cable. I didn't think about how good the theater would be when I suggested this.
Put those plugs over here. I was actually thinking of even just like turning the laptop around, which is always good. Okay. What are we looking at? Something good? Okay. So this is our website. Websites are great. We love websites. So some things we're really excited about for the next issue. And so like if you're like, ooh, I'd think about submitting, but I'm not sure what to do, you should just like crib directly these ideas. We're also interested in whatever you guys are working on. So we're really interested in computation that supports world building. So like what if you build something that said like this is what the weather is every day, and then you like build in this world kind of Dungeons and Dragons style. Very interested in unusual interaction paradigms. I think metaphors are like a really nice way to think about how computers might interact with your work. But, you know, okay, we've seen like thinking about computers as tools or as collaborative agents, but what if the computer is a forest or a sticker pack or an architect? So thinking about these new paradigms that we can imagine the interaction. We're also, you know, language models, they're great, they're big, they're small, but there are other kind of quotidian interfaces, like just working with the web browser or spell check or search, all these kinds of things, as well as good old-fashioned AI. So the AI of the 80s and the 90s, like schedulers, theorem provers, ontologies, these kinds of more old-school algorithmic interests. And then I'm really excited about this idea of like antagonistic interventions with the computer. So a computer that's like working against you or trying to make your life more difficult or make your writing worse, and you have to like battle with it to produce something interesting. And then finally, if for people who like are excited about language models, are there new kind of, can we think about language models and the different kinds of affordances that we can get out of them, right? So things like manipulating the logits, like the predictive probability distribution that comes out of the model. Can we use custom language models to develop voices and textures, maybe smaller ones? So trying to like move beyond the kind of fine-tuning in a voice paradigm. So there's a bunch of things that we're really excited about, and we would love to see people submit, and you can like have a look. I think this gives you like a sense of the kinds of things we mean and what we mean by the process note, but we really want to go beyond what we're seeing and kind of continue to push into new areas. So to wrap us up, I'm going to reload this tab, and we're going to do a little live reading here, which I honestly have no idea what you guys can see. But I'm just going to assume it's what I can see. Ensemble Park, oh, we should make it bigger because we are, ooh, yeah, ooh, very big, very big. Ensemble Park is a journal of human and finch epicodal. Think less generation and more mediation. Think strawberries of writers and oaks. Think back and forth and back again. Think human-computer interaction or human-raccoon collaboration. A falcon is a beaver. Where you see different things and different people, Ensemble Park is a newt. In it, you should see different snakes, different programs. A large language model can be sublime. A small language model can be beautiful. An analog computer, a theorem prover, a virtual seeder, a part of speech tagger, a spell checker. All are welcome in the park. Thank you. As a final note, truly do not want to take these home with me. Please, they are so heavy. Please come see us afterwards to get one.
All right, we're gonna take a quick like 5-minute pause to see if we can get the projector back online, and hopefully after that 5-minute pause. Yo! Yo! Ah! Well, that's exciting. Just in time. Cool. Well, Finnegan, maybe you want to come in and plug in, and then I can give an introduction with some momentum once we know your laptop connects. All right, as we're getting... Oh, the projector is on. We're feeling confident.
Which of these things?
Oh, yeah, where did the HDMI
Oh, okay, we have this.
That's...
Do I need that conversion?
There are many that you can use. Oh, it's this one down here. See if this works. Do you have sound?
No.
While we're doing some tech testing, I will do a quick introduction for Finnegan Shannon, who's a really fantastic artist. I've had the pleasure of following their work for a really long time. Finnegan's work does a lot of really exciting explorations of some of like the artist's role in society and in different kinds of relations to other people. I remember some of their earliest work was really exploring like what is an artist's time worth, which was a thing that really resonated with me. But they've also continued to grow and explore in a lot of their work, a lot of kind of like the ways in which like what is the human experience of engaging with art. And a lot of practices that engage about like why can't places where we take in art be more comfortable to be in and more comfortable for more people to be in, and a lot of their work really kind of like raises those questions around like who is welcome in an artistic space and who gets to feel comfortable in an artistic space. Done also some really exciting work around exploring alt text on the web. So for those of you, well, I don't want to bite their presentation. You might be talking about it as well, but different ways that the way the internet is perceived by the blind or by the deaf, how can that be an opportunity to add more rather than like present a flattened version of another experience? They present some really exciting work. I've been wanting to have them at WordHack for a long time. Really excited to have them here tonight. Do we have an image on the projector? We Oh, the HDMI or the? Yeah, it's been working for that one, but like it's been getting on the stream also, so it's like making it to the capture card. It's just like the last little yard. Here, let's try a different dongle. See if that affects anything. The capture card is in the booth. I think so.
It usually goes from here. There's like another connection inside of the cabinet.
I can tell by your tone that you've been in that cabinet before.
Yeah, we really don't need images. It's not an image-centric situation. So if this doesn't work.
All right. Yeah, I will spend max 1 more minute.
Well, I mean, spend as long as you.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I will take you at your word. But, can also show the. Well, can I get in there? Maybe I can't. Oh. You went in there? Do I need to like get up there? Yeah, really don't know what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm tightening up the connections here, but I'm not about to like reroute a Ethernet cable the whole distance. I could try and run another HDMI here.
But you see it, right?
Yeah. I'm touching it. I'm tightening it. Still nothing. Should I? You want to go on this guy, or do you want to go nothing at all?
I need to be able to read from my screen, so as long I can connect to that as long as I can still read my screen. But I also it's just all text in a PowerPoint, so I can also just read. Let's just do no.
All right, hold on. Let me try one last angle. Rody says he's like getting the image sometimes, but it's blinking on and off.
Yeah, it's blinking over here too.
It's just sometimes that can be dongle. It could be this
I think
cable
it
as
was
well.
Remember the month that I did the presentation, we changed like 4 dongles, and then one of them worked.
It's still Oh. That feels. We're not flashing anymore. That seems positive.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Wow, third dongle's the charm.
Okay, we're good to go, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, amazing. Hi, everyone. I'm Finnegan. And today I'm going to talk about this project, Alt Text Selfies. That's really one of my favorite projects from last year that actually I feel like hasn't gotten a lot of shine because of some ongoing website difficulties, which always seem on the verge of being fixed. But this way, I just get to tell you about it directly. I'm also new to this cave setup, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, welcome. I'm really happy to be here. I think the first thing to know about this project is it's a collaborative project. I worked with 2 other artists, Bojana Kokliat, who is a longtime collaborator of mine. We've been working together for over 7 years now, and Olivia Dreisinger, and me. So we're the kind of three people who have been crafting this together, but also with lots of additional support. I'm gonna go with this shape because I'm reading everything aloud also. The project also has a website that was made by Laurel Schultz and Taichi Aritomo. We had special audio made for the website by Tristan Douglas. We did screen reader testing with Jim Bauer, and the print design of this project was by Mia Navarro. And the most important thing about this project was that it was a collection. It's a kind of gathering and collecting type of project, and so in that kind of project, the most important thing is always the people who generously contributed to it. And we also had some funding for this project, so just want to shout out Culture Hub and Canada Council for the Arts. Very grateful. Okay, all right. Let's see. I'll try some new things now. Ooh. Wow, will I? No. Okay, we're just gonna. Oops. Oh no. Yeah, but can I even get back? Wait, I might have to unplug the computer.
Your mouse is right there.
Wait, oh, my mouse. Oh. Oh, my mouse is just in a different. Oh, wow. This is a fun. Okay. Okay, yeah, we're sticking with this. Woo! Wow. Okay. So yeah, you may be asking yourself, what is an alt text selfie? So I think to us and in this project, it's a very open term, and I will share some examples later. But and I think like our understanding of what an alt text selfie might be is shifting and changing, and we're always learning about it. I think selfies and self-description are often visually focused, but one of the things that we were really interested in this project is decentering visuality, or even like literal description of an image. And so thinking about also selfies that like blend
smell, taste, touch, sound, and more. And I think for us, one thing that's really important is that at their core, any alt text and by extension alt text selfies are an access practice. So that's really what our interest is. And this idea of an alt text selfie as a tool for connecting across different sensory experiences and also distance. Okay, so now a couple of selfies. So we did an open call for this project. We gathered over 100 alt text selfies that are on this mythical website that will imminently be available to you. There's also a chapbook that has a collection of 30. There's also 2 essays that were commissioned for the project. So I'm just going to share a couple of, a couple of the things that are part of the project. I think for me, as someone who has been thinking about and talking about alt text for a long time now, like this project for me feels just really celebratory. Like I just love this writing. I love selfies. I love when people describe their selfies. I feel like it's such a generous social phenomenon. And so for me, the spirit of this project is really about kind of like gathering and celebrating this specific form of writing. Okay, so this is one of my favorite ones in the whole project. It's by the artist and performer Neve. Neve holds themselves up out of their wheelchair in a tricep scapular power rise. They have brown skin, a flirty gap tooth, Josie and the Pussycats' flippy, short, strawberry red hair, a foppish dark brown mustache, and a black t-shirt with the shoulders cut, which reads, "I love being trans." This is one by Emily Gossio, a little bit longer. I am standing in the middle of a grassy field in Scotland. It is almost nighttime and there are wispy clouds in the sky. A gray brick train station is behind me in the distance. I have long brown hair that is blowing in the wind and over my face. It is chilly and the air smells like wet dirt. My eyes are half closed and my lips are partially open, like I'm about to say something. I'm wearing a heavy denim coat, a blue skirt with white flowers on it, and black Doc Martens. My legs are covered in goosebumps and I am tired from the long journey to Glasgow. In my left hand, I'm holding on to my guide dog, London's leash. She is a golden Labrador retriever. She's standing next to me and looking at the camera. Her ears are alert and perky, and the flash from the camera is reflecting in her eyes. One other thing that I'll say about this project is a lot of the descriptions that are collected as part of this were existing writing. So someone had like shared a photo on social media and for accessibility reasons had written a description. So there's a kind of like ready-made, ready-to-go kind of quality to a lot of them. Others were written specifically for this project where people really kind of thought about thought about the prompt of an alt text selfie as the seed of the work. And then I'm going to read one more from Yemisi. A black femme stands behind a brick wall avoiding the rain. Black chunky headphones blasting drum and bass sit on top of their short hot pink curls. They wear a black hoodie tucked away under a snakeskin olive green raincoat. And I think for me, the other part of like celebrating this type of writing is also just like understanding the huge different variety of ways that people approach image description and certainly self-description. And yeah, I think all of the writing that's part of this project, like that's one of the things that's most exciting to me about it, is just that you get to see like really different approaches to how people, like what people are sharing, what people are highlighting, the language they're using, the tone. So if you felt excited about that taste and you're interested in more, there will soon be a website, alttextselfies.net. It sometimes also works. So, like every once in a while, you can also just do a little, try your luck. Laurel and Taichi made a beautiful, beautiful website, and I'm so, so excited about it. It's such a beautiful layer to the project. It has audio incorporated in really amazing ways, and we just have a small DNS issue that we're still ironing out. And there's also this book that has a smaller number of selfies in it, 30 alt-text selfies. These are being handmade by me in my studio in New York. One of the things that we were really excited about is having a non-visual or tactile element to the book. So the title is in Braille, and then also one of the ways that we found that was kind of like relatively affordable to add tactile elements to the cover of the book was buying a lot of stickers at dollar stores. And it has also just been like so fun for me as a former sticker child to buy so many stickers and stick them onto the books. This is a little glimpse of my glorious sticker station with lots of different textures of stickers. And yeah, so there's also this book. It's available in a lot of different formats. So there's the print version of it if you want to hold a book in your hands, but there's also an audiobook, a Google Doc, a Word doc, a PDF. I think those are the formats that we have right now. So usually I would say go to the website to find those things, but as a workaround, we also have an email. So if you're interested in getting that link to to any of those versions or buying a hard copy, shoot an email to alttextselfies@gmail.com. And we are also, the idea for this project is that it's ongoing. We're also thinking about building towards an exhibition of this project at some point. And so, yeah, the idea is that we continue collecting alt-text selfies as we go. So if you feel called to, please, please, please share some of your writing with us. Yeah. Or if you just have questions about the project, feel free to email. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and hanging out with this alt-text experiment. And it truly has been like, yeah, one of my favorite projects. And I think, yeah, I think the writing is just really, really fun, and you get to learn a lot about yourself and other people. Yeah, that's it for me.
No, you have to leave it until the next person comes up. Thank you so much, Finnegan. Let's give it up one more time for our featured presenters. And thank you all for coming out this evening. That has been our show. We are here the third Thursday of every month. So next month, that'll be February 20th, I believe. Really easy on Google Calendar. You can just like put every third Thursday. It just repeats every month. I have that in my calendar, and you could have it in yours. There's also on the event page, I send out a newsletter once a month when ticket links are up. So if you would like to be notified when the next show comes up, it's just one email a month. On the event page, you can find a link to go join that. Yeah, that's it for me this evening. Thanks so much for spending time with us, and I'll catch you next time.